YouTube live video, and I'm going to show you really quickly how I made a fun little card that's sort of springtimey, or it could be an Easter card, whatever it is that you might want to make it be, but it's got some cute little spring images on it. And I love the designer paper, which is the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper from the Celebration. So it's one of the papers that you can actually get for free with an order of $50 or greater during Celebration, which runs through the end of February. So, hey, Bree, thanks for hopping in and saying hello today. I appreciate you being here. So, all right, so this is our card we're going to be doing today. And again, it's just a fun little sort of spring or Easter card that I thought y'all might enjoy. And it's a stamp set I haven't seen a whole lot of people use. So it's a really cute one, and I figured I'd pull it out and see what we could do. So this is the stamp set. It's called Springtime Joy, and it is from the January to June 2021 mini catalog. And it's got, again, some good just general spring sentiments in it. And then it's got an Easter sentiment in it and some cute little kind of springtime and Easter related images. Again, just a really cute stamp set that's available now from Stampin' Up! In the current mini catalog. Couple of other things that I used on it. I used the Tasteful Labels dies, one of the little banner dies here for the sentiment on the card. And then I also used one of these Stitched Shapes dies, which is the biggest circle die here. I used to cut out around the little lamb image. And of course, my ever favorite, most used die set, I think ever. I've got the Stitched Rectangle dies, and I used the third one from the largest to cut out this piece of the Oso Ombre Designer Series paper. Okay, so let me set that aside and pull out a couple of other pieces of paper here, and then we'll get started on the card. I just wanted to remind you that the Hey Chick and Hey Birthday Chick stamp sets are now available to order from Stampin' Up! They're out on the on the customer website, so you can order them through my online store, and you can get there from stampwithamyk.com, and I'll put links and things in the video here once I get everything all set up and ready to go. So again, the Hey Chick stamp set, this is the same original set that, hey Krista and Shelley, thanks for joining today. So the same original set from Celebration back in 2017. Stampin' Up! Has brought some really awesome new coordinating dies with it. So if you have the stamp set, the die set actually coordinates with it perfectly. If you don't have the stamp set, you can purchase it as a bundle, or you can purchase them individually. And then they have the Hey Birthday Chick stamp set bundle, which this is in the Hey Birthday Chick stamp set is in the mini catalog, the current mini catalog, but they have got some new dies that go with it. So again, you can either purchase it as a bundle or individually. So let me know if you have questions on that. I'm happy to chat with you more about it. And the Butterfly Bouquet stamp set bundle, which is coming up. This will be available for customers beginning on March 2nd and running through May 3rd. It's a special release early pre-order, and it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I did a little Facebook Live yesterday and shared it on my YouTube page as well. So you can go take a peek at that. I opened up all the goodies and showed you what's in it. So it is beautiful. I made a card. I can't wait to share it with you. So it's awesome. But that'll be next week. So, hey, Susan, glad that you're here. And Sue and other Susan and Barbara. So thanks, everybody, for joining today. So this is a new stamp set. Again, it's an early release bundle from the 2021 to 2022 annual catalog. It's available for demonstrators now. So if you're not a demonstrator and are interested in joining, now would be an excellent time to do that because you can add these items into your starter kit. So it's an awesome deal as it is to get a starter kit, and then because you get to get these beautiful new things, you can potentially add those to your starter kit. It's a really awesome deal. So this is the stamp set, and then there are coordinating dies that go with it. Again, they can be purchased individually or as a bundle. And then they have two new paper packs with it. One is a 6x6, and I said the name totally wrong in my video yesterday. I had to apologize ahead of time. It's Butterfly Bijou. I said it by you because apparently, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but I said it way wrong. And then we've got the Natural Touch specialty paper. And then you can get the whole collection together. So definitely, if you have questions about joining, your sweet ship this morning. So yay, I'm glad to hear that. So you're going to love it. It's really, really pretty. So if you have questions about joining, let me know. I would be happy to chat with you more about it. And speaking of joining, Stampin' Up! Has got their starter kit bonus going on right now. They are going to give you 5 5 free packs of 6x6 Designer Series paper. And again, these are packs of paper from the upcoming annual catalog, so they're new things that basically you can only get by joining at this point. So you'll be ahead of the game and have some fun new things to play with. Starter kit is $99, and you pay tax on that if that applies in your area. And the kit ships for free, which is a huge deal in itself. You get to pick $125 worth of whatever Stampin' Up! Merchandise you might like, and then Stampin' Up! Will ship it out to you. And once you join, you get at least a 20% discount on any order that you place, or 20% commission if you have customers that order from you. However, there's no requirement for customers, so if you just want to join to get the discount for yourself, it's a great deal. So let me know if you have questions about that or are interested in joining. I would be happy to chat with you about it. We've got a good little team, a pretty relaxed group. That's just a bunch of basically happy stampers. So, all right, let's get going on the card before I talk too much and, Okay, so I have a thick basic white card base. I know I was going to say whisper white when I got on here. And then I've got some of the Designer Series paper. This is the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper from the Celebration catalog. Celebration, this is one of the free items that you can get if you order $50 or greater. Between now and the end of February. So this is one of the free items that you can add in with your order. And it's a really pretty pack of 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. The back of it has got just the Rococo Rose stripes on it, but we're going to use the floral side up. And I'm adhering it down with a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue. So I'm going to try to get it on here straight. I usually tend to use liquid glue when I'm adhering a big panel like this together, just because, as you can see, it gives me a couple of extra seconds to wiggle it around and make sure everything is straight before it is stuck down forever and ever that way. Where the line type adhesives don't necessarily do that. We've got another little piece of the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper, and this one is cut to 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. And again, the back side of it's really pretty Designer Series paper. Again, it's the Paper Blooms pack, which is the free one, or one of the free ones from Celebration, that you can choose with an order of $50 or greater. During Celebration, and I'm adhering that to a piece of Seaside Spray. I almost said soft sea foam. That is not soft sea foam. Seaside Spray Designer Series paper, and that's cut to 1 3/8 by 4 1/4. So it's going to fit over the entire, or over the one side of the entire card front, I should say. And I'm going to use a little Stampin' Seal to adhere that to the card front. I don't know that I have really any special placement on it. It just kind of is over towards the left edge of the paper. The only thing I want to try to do is get it lined up top and bottom. And I think I did that fairly well. I did a few things ahead of time. I went ahead and cut this. Again, this is cut with the 3rd largest of the stitched rectangle dies. And this is cut from the Oso Ombre Designer Series paper, which is also one of the free packs that you can get as an option with an order of $50 or greater during Celebration. I've got Rococo Rose ink, and I'm going to do a little bit of quick stamping across this piece of designer paper. And it's just the little flower images that I'm using from the Springtime Joy stamp set. And I don't really need to do them all the way across because this is a fairly large circle image that I'm going to be putting right over the top of it. So I just sort of did every other flower here and stamped them over sort of from the center just to the edge of the designer paper. Again, because nobody could see the other part. So, and I'm generally a lazy stamper, so whatever I can do to save a few minutes, I definitely will. And then I've got the little butterfly image, and again, I'm going to stamp that in Rococo Rose right above the flower images. And again, that's from the same stamp set, which is the Springtime Joy stamp set that we're playing with today. All right, next up, I've got a piece of Rococo Rose cardstock, and I have this cut to, I should have checked it beforehand, 4.5 by 3 1/8 inches. And we're just going to adhere the two pieces together here. So I've got my Designer Series paper that I've just stamped on and had die cut ahead of time. You can use the little Stampin' Seal to adhere them together. And then we're going to wrap some linen thread around the edge of it, or around the bottom of it, I should say. So I've got that out here and ready to go. And just going to wrap it around twice. And I can sort of scoot the linen thread around a little bit, so exact placement doesn't need to be worry about at this point, just making sure that I get enough thread so that I'm not short trying to tie it, because I don't know if you're like me, there's nothing worse than being short on a ribbon or a twine or whatever when you're trying to tie it, because I can't ever tie it at all. So, all right, I'm gonna tie this one. I use the linen threads or the thinner, baker's twine type things. I usually tie a knot to hold the thread in place. And then I can kind of scooch it around here a little bit because I want it to be over towards the edge of the cardstock panel. And then I will tie the rest of the bow. So for me, it's easier than trying to hold this down while I'm trying to make the loops and everything else. I usually just tie a little knot in it, and then that holds everything securely so that I can mess around with the bow and make that look like I want it to, once I've got everything kind of in place and held with the knot. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it a second before I trim the tails off on it. I'm going to put it on the card front first to make sure that it looks the way I want it to before I trim it off and have them be too short. So, because there's nothing worse than too short. So, all right, let's flip this over, and I'm going to use some of my little half Stampin' dimensionals that I chop up to adhere this to the card front. One thing that I am doing is making sure that I put some on either side of my linen thread so that the linen thread doesn't accidentally scoot off the bottom of the little cardstock panel when somebody happens to open it or, pull it in and out of the envelope, because I wouldn't want the whole card front to fall apart. So, hey, Gina, thanks for joining today from snowy Alberta, Canada. It actually snowed here again today. I'm like, come on, I think we've had enough. And it was supposed to just be a few flurries. That was all. Yeah, it snowed a good solid inch here this morning. Thankfully, it warmed up this afternoon, so it's all melting off again, but goodness, I don't think we need any more snow after the snowstorm of earlier this week where we got 30 inches at my house. So, yeah, I'm kind of all snowed out for this winter, and I'm ready for spring to be here, as evidenced by my springtime card that we're doing today. So, all right. Again, I did this ahead of time. I stamped it in Tuxedo Black Memento ink on basic white cardstock. And we're just going to do a little coloring here with some Stampin' blends. I'm going to pull those all up here so that they're all handy. I'm going to start, I think, with my Seaside Spray. Or did I grab the wrong color? I did. Maybe it's balmy blue. No wonder why. Anyway, my blue, it's close enough. I intended to grab my Seaside Spray markers, but I happened to grab balmy blue instead. So we are going to do a little balmy blue on here, and we're going to pretend like it's Seaside Spray. How does that sound? So goodness. Oh well, it happens. Again, putting the light color on first, and then coming back in with just a little touch of the dark to give it a little bit of shading. And again, I don't worry too much about shading on these little tiny images like that. I just want to get a little different, a little variation in color, and that's the main thing that I worry about. So I've got light Rococo Rose. So yes, we had 30 inches of snow here. It was crazy in New Jersey, at least where I'm at in New Jersey. I know not everywhere got quite that much, but we actually apparently made the national news. I had people from Florida saying, well, I saw your town listed on the news. You guys got the most snow in New Jersey. And I'm like, yay, I guess. I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm not really looking forward to that kind of a record, but I guess it could be worse. So. All right, again, that's a little bit of dark Rococo Rose that I put in the center, and then I'm coming back and just doing a little touch of blending around the edges with it. All right. Next up, we've got some Petal Pink, and I'm going to take the light one first, and going to color in the little lamb's face with light Petal Pink ink. Try not to wiggle the camera around too much, sorry. I know I get a little heavy-handed sometimes when I'm coloring, and then I see the whole table shaking and the camera shaking, and then I'm going to come back in here and put in a few of the darker areas with the dark Petal Pink, and then come back and just kind of blend together and try not to have any harsh lines on it with the light. So, and then I wanted to keep kind of the center of the face a little bit lighter. I wanted it to be a little darker around the edges. So that was sort of why I did what I did with it. And then I have got soft sea foam. And we're just going to do, yep, this is the light one. Just going to put color on the little leaves. Almost called them petals. And they're leaves, not petals. So I'm just going to, again, quickly, because I'm not worrying about blending these very much, I'm just going to quickly add a little bit of ink and then come back in and just add a touch of the dark soft sea foam over the top. And we will call that good. And then I realized I also forgot to color when I had my petal pink out, the centers of the little flowers. And I just used dark petal pink Stampin' Blends marker to do that. And I forgot the sheep, the little feet on the lamb. Good heavens. So I guess there's more to color in petal pink than I thought. So, all right, adding a little bit of light petal pink down there, and I'll add just a touch of the dark for a little bit of shading around the edges, and we will call that good on the little lamb's feet. So one thing that I did to add a little bit of shading to the lamb is I've got a light smoky slate Stampin' Blends marker, and I'm just going to come in and add a little touch of the light smoky slate kind of around the edges, and anywhere where there's like a little ruffle in his or her, I guess it's a her because she's got flowers on her head, so I shouldn't call it his, where anywhere where there's a little ruffle on the sheep's fur, is it fur? Coat? I don't know what they call it. What is a sheep? Wool? I don't know. So added a little bit of smoky slate Stampin' Blends marker, and then I'm going to come back in with the color lifter and sort of blend and almost scrub out the color, but not completely take it out. What I want to do, the effect that I want to get is just a little bit of a shadow. So that is one of the little techniques that I find works well. You can do the same thing with gray granite. If you're doing a snow scene, you can use Pool Party, the light Pool Party ink, or you can use the light Seaside Spray, or any of the kind of lighter colors. You could probably do this with So Saffron. So depending on what you are coloring, if you wanted to add just a little bit of shading with it, but not a ton of color, use the light Stampin' Blends marker, and then come back in with your color lifter and just sort of scribbly color over the top of it until it lightens up enough so that it just looks like a little bit of a shadow. And that's the effect that I'm trying to get by adding a little bit of smoky slate and then coloring over the top of it with the color lifter. All right, so our little sheep is all done. A little lamb, I guess, is all done. And we're just going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere that to the card front. And again, I want to be sort of aware of where my linen thread is going to be landing underneath the image. So I want to make sure that I put kind of down lower, up higher, and then probably one here in the kind of upper middle area of it, so that it's got some dimensionals under it, but there aren't any that are going to be hitting where the twine is at, so there's not kind of a weird lump in the card front. So waiting for UPS to arrive with your latest order, and somehow you accidentally ordered the Hey Birthday Chick stamp set and not the bundle. Oh, yes, I've done that before too. There's nothing more frustrating, but that's okay. The good news is that you can still get it. The bad news is you have to put in another order. Well, that's good and bad news. I can't say it's all bad news when you have to put in another order, because it's kind of fun, because I always find at least 10 more things that I need to have. So, all right, so I have got a little bit of Seaside Spray cardstock here, and I've got Versamark ink, and we're going to heat emboss the sentiment. And again, the sentiment is from the Springtime Joy stamp set. I'm just going to plunk it here kind of in the middle of the panel. And I think did I stamp it upside down? No, it's right side up. I thought for a second I'd stamped it upside down. Not that it would matter, because we are going to be die cutting this anyway. But I've got white Stampin' Emboss powder. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top of my sentiment. Give it a little flick here. Make sure that I got good coverage on it. And I think that works. And then I'm going to put the lid on my embossing powder, because I just actually almost dumped the entire thing here off screen. And I have done it before. It was with black embossing powder, and it's a huge mess if you should happen to do that. So, all right, so we're going to do heat embossing here. The Stampin' Up! Heat tool has 2 settings on it. Level 2 is for heat embossing, and level 1 is for drying. The level 1 works well if you are going to do watercoloring or something like that, and you want to kind of hurry the ink up in drying a little bit. It works well for that sort of thing. And then again, the level 2 is heat embossing. And hopefully you can see on screen that it's starting to turn the brighter white. All right, that is it for the heat embossing. I'm going to give it 1 second to make sure that it's cool before I start die cutting it, because it will smear if you touch the ink on it right away. And then I'm going to use my die here that I've got from the Tasteful Labels dies, the little banner die. And I'm going to put it right over the top of my sentiment and try to center it and run it through, and hopefully it will be straight. My die cutting machine is right over here to the right, so I will be off screen for 1 second doing a little die cutting. Hopefully y'all are enjoying your Friday. Both kids of mine are actually in school today, which is like the first time in forever that that's happened. So it's the house is quiet. It's kind of weird. So, all right. So then we've got our little die cut sentiment. Get the dies out of the way and put it away before I lose them. On the back of the sentiment, I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive and Stampin' Dimensional. And again, I want to make sure that I've got this right side up, and I'm going to put the Stampin' Dimensional up sort of near the top because I'm going to be putting it over the top of my little bow here, or the linen thread. So I want to make sure that I don't end up sticking it accidentally to the linen thread instead of to the card front. All right, so we're going to peel that off, and then I'm going to slide this in here, put it right over the top. And I'd put a little Stampin' Seal under this side of it, and I've got my Stampin' Dimensional under the other side. Sticking the two pieces together, and where are my rhinestones? Hey, I forgot to get them. Hold on. I'm totally unprepared today. So, okay, rhinestones. That was the one last thing I had to add here. It's just a quick little rhinestone on my sentiment. Just for a little touch of sparkle, nothing too much on this one, because again, I didn't want to take away from the little lamb. I thought it was too cute. So that is the outside of the card. On the inside of the card, I just used a piece of the paper Blooms Designer Series paper. This is cut to, it's a scrap, but it's about 5/8 of an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. I should check it. Yes, that's 3/4 of an inch by about, whoops, I grabbed my Seal Plus instead of my regular, but that'll work. About 3/4 of an inch by, I think I've got this one cut to about 6 inches. I usually try to oversize them just a little bit when I'm adding it to the very bottom of a piece of cardstock like this, just because it gives me sort of a lever to move it around and get things adhered on straight. And then I can take my snips or my paper trimmer and just trim it off. And then we're going to use Stampin' Seal to adhere it to the inside of the card base, and we are going to be all done with the card today. So, all right, let's stick these together. Try to get it straight. Fold it in half and grab my bone folder and give this a quick crease. And we will be all done with the card today. So, all right, so this is the one that I made ahead of time, a little sample card. This is the one we made here on screen today. It's a very, very cute stamp set. Definitely a good one for spring and for Easter, and a lot of fun to use. So I will be posting all the details, all the cardstock cuts and everything out on my blog tomorrow. Hey, Michelle, thanks for hopping in, and Catherine and Sue. All right, thanks everybody for hopping in. Glad you liked the card. So I'll be posting all the details out on my blog tomorrow. And once the blog post goes live, I will add the link into the description section of the video. So you'll be able to go click on the link and see anything, cardstock cuts and all that sort of thing if you want to go take a peek at that. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. I appreciate y'all being here and spending part of your Friday with me. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I plan to be back on Facebook Live on Tuesday around 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and then here again on YouTube Live on Friday around 2 o'clock Eastern Time. So have a fantastic